The Man in the Whispering City. In Johannesburg, the nights glow like promises. Traffic hums along the highways. Neon signs flicker above betting shops. Screens flash odds beside highlights of the Premier Soccer League. Everywhere, the city seems to whisper the same message: you all one win away. Ben King believed it. By day, he worked in a logistics warehouse in Selby, earning enough to survive but never enough to breathe. He shared a small flat in Yeovil and sent money home to his mother in Limpopo. Responsibility pressed on his shoulders like the weight of the mine dumps that ring the city. Ben wasn't greedy. He was tired. Tired of overdraft notifications. Tired of choosing between groceries and electricity. Tired of watching men his age step out of cars he could not even pronounce. He did not crave luxury. He craved relief. One Friday after work, a colleague introduced him to online betting. "Just our 300, the man said casually. "You know soccer. This is easy." Ben placed his first bet that night. 2 hours later, his phone buzzed. His R300 had turned into 2,000 rands. Outside his window, the city lights shimmered as though they were celebrating him. That was the true beginning. Not the money, but the feeling. The rush. The electric belief that maybe, just maybe, the city had finally chosen him. The following week, he bet again. He won. Then he lost. Then he won bigger. Each victory felt supernatural, as if unseen forces had tilted fate in his favor. Each loss felt temporary, just part of a pattern leading to the next breakthrough. Before long, Ben was no longer betting for extra cash. He was betting to recover losses. The amounts grew quietly but steadily, of 500, then 1,000 rands, then 3,000 rands. What had begun as entertainment hardened into urgency. At night, he started hearing a soft clicking in the dark, like a calculator counting somewhere out of sight. One evening, walking past Gandhi Square after work, he noticed a tall man standing beneath a streetlight. The stranger wore a gold tie that shimmered unnaturally. "You play well," the man said calmly. Ben frowned. "Do I know you?" "I know you," the stranger replied. "I know your fear of being ordinary." The air felt heavier around them. The city noise seemed to recede. "You almost had it last night," the man continued. "One goal short. Try again. You're learning." Ben blinked, and the man was gone. But his phone screen was open, odds displayed, the word boosted glowing faintly. From that night forward, the losses came faster. His salary vanished within days of being paid. He lied to friends, borrowed from colleagues, and ignored calls from home. Still, he clung to the belief that the big win was coming. Addiction did not scream at him. It whispered hope. At work, his focus slipped. The warehouse manager called him in and warned him about his performance. Ben nodded, promised improvement, and returned to his station with his mind still fixed on odds and outcomes. Soon, his dreams turned strange. He found himself standing in a vast underground chamber beneath Johannesburg, deeper than any gold mine. In the center stood a massive scale. On one side rested glowing coins. On the other lay pieces of his life. Each bet tipped the balance. When he lost, something vanished. First, his sleep disappeared. Then his appetite. Then his joy. One night, after checking his bank account, he felt the room tilt. The rent money was gone. His mother's medical support money was gone. Everything swallowed by the invisible hunger. The clicking in the dark became a steady drumming. In his dreams, the man with the gold tie appeared again, standing beside the great scale. "You owe," he said gently. "I'll win it back," Ben whispered. The man smiled, and the shadow behind him stretched long and thin across the chamber. "That is how I survive." The final blow came without drama. Ben lost his job with a simple letter. No raised voices, no arguments, just quiet dismissal. That same night, the electricity in his flat was cut. He sat in darkness while the city lights beyond his window burned brightly, indifferent and distant. His phone buzzed with a notification. "Last chance odds. Don't miss out." The drumming in his chest grew louder. In the reflection of his black phone screen, the man with the gold tie appeared once more. "One more?" the figure whispered. "You can fix everything." Ben's hands trembled. But for the first time, his mind shifted. He thought of his mother's voice, of the lies he had told, of the underground scale weighing his life piece by piece. He realized something devastating and freeing at once. He had never truly been chasing money. He had been chasing relief. Relief from pressure. Relief from comparison. Relief from the suffocating fear of being left behind. Betting had promised escape, but it had only deepened the wound. With shaking fingers, Ben deleted the app. The drumming did not stop immediately. It roared in protest. In the reflection, the man's gold tie began to turn to dust. "You will hear me again," the figure warned. "In adverts. In your thoughts. In the next big match." "I know," Ben replied softly, "but I won't answer." The reflection shattered, leaving only darkness. The silence that followed was not peaceful, but it was honest. Recovery did not arrive like a miracle. There was no sudden fortune, no cinematic redemption. Ben told the truth to his family. He joined a support group in Braamfontein, sitting in a circle of strangers who spoke the same language of shame and fragile hope. He learned how addiction rewires the brain, how it feeds on secrecy, how isolation gives it power. He found part-time work and began rebuilding trust one slow day at a time. The cravings returned occasionally, especially during major matches in the Premier Soccer League. The whisper never fully disappeared. But now he recognized it for what it was. Not destiny, not opportunity, but hunger. And hunger could be managed. Months later, standing on a rooftop overlooking Johannesburg, he saw the city differently. The lights still flickered across the skyline, but they no longer whispered promises. They simply shone. He remembered that Johannesburg is often called Egalai, the city of gold. Yet he now understood that the most valuable gold is not mined underground. It is mined in discipline, in honesty, in community, and in choosing long-term peace over short-term thrill. Ben had lost money. He had lost pride. He had lost illusions. But he had gained clarity, and that was a form of wealth no bet could ever offer, and no loss could ever take away. Betting addiction does not begin with weakness. It begins with hope. If you recognize yourself in Ben's story, speak to someone you trust. Seek professional help or support group. Block access to betting platforms. Understand that the thoughts may return, that relapse urges are part of the battle, but acting on them is a choice. The whisper may return, but so can your strength. In the city of gold, and anywhere else, the greatest victory is not hitting the jackpot. It is walking away.